Hey everybody, we're back with a new video. Sorry I've been gone for basically 2 months, my biggest hiatus surprisingly. Usually I think the last few videos I made were each a month apart. I had like 5 videos made when I first basically went to a mental delusion. And I guess I started just going plummeting back down the insanity elevator. I think I had 5 videos, only 2 remain, 3 got deleted. I forgot what the other one, the 5th one was. But now, okay, it's to talk about my whole freaking life. We're going to talk about the rise and fall of the UMP-45 in Call of Duty. And before we get started, if you're wondering, I'm not wearing any face mask. I'm trying to get out of my new comfort zone. Even my hair looks kind of good. My family said it was black, so I probably might not get married my whole life. But differences and differences. We don't need to care about that. Now let's get the UMP. The UMP-45 is one of my favorite SMGs in real life and in Call of Duty. It's actually a really good gun. Other than that, let's start. In Modern Warfare 2, this is the UMP-45's first appearance. It was extremely strong, had good iron sights, was abnormally good with a suppressor, had 32 rounds, a decent fire rate. Feeling puke. Other than that, we learned that the UMP is... I gotta get my train of thought back in. So the UMP is basically one of the best SMGs in the game, only beaten out by... Actually, I think it is the best SMG in the game. The Vector shoots faster, the MP5K is just terrible. The P90 and the Mini Uzi literally don't have a fan base in Modern Warfare 2. So other than that, let's go to the next game. Modern Warfare 2 is an overall just decrease of the UMP. I actually started noticing while looking out through this stuff, throughout the whole game series that IW seems to make, literally UMP gets worse and worse with every entry it's in. So the UMP-45 Modern Warfare 3, it has worse iron sights. They're bigger, and the sight is basically a little higher, which doesn't need to really happen when you have a gun like that. Other than that, it has the same exact ammo capacity at 32 rounds, goes up to 48 like it does in the last game. It has a little more recoil. It does not work really well with a suppressor. There's no stopping power, only power, but I think that's only for like 3 classes of weapons. And it's actually really terrible. It's like the MP5, except a little better, since the MP5 in Modern Warfare 3 was legit garbage. I think it's weird that there was actually a time where the MP5 in there would be a time every Call of Duty would release, the MP5 would always be the worst gun. But back to the topic. The UMP-45 did not appear for a while. It was actually gonna come back in Call of Duty Ghosts, but it ended up only being in a promo video, which I guess is just a thing. It had the hollow sight on it. It was a really cool clip. Really wish it was in the game. It would actually spice up the whole gun category. And that, let's go to the next game. So Modern Warfare Remastered and IW come out. They have drastically different UMPs. Beforehand, I can't really think of a gun that's like a UMP. I know people would say the Kuda from BO3, which is not a UMP. It's built like it, but it's more like an MP5 if you actually think about it. Crappy damage, odd iron sights, same exact iron sights to be honest. But let's go with Modern Warfare Remastered first. This one actually kind of made the UMP a little better, since the base mag instead of 32 was 40. And in this case, it shot decently fast. I watched Eric's video, but I didn't watch many videos about it. I wish I actually had the gun. I heard it was kind of meh. The iron sights were huge, which you could just compensate by having a freaking red dot on it, make it a really good gun. And then IW came out, and it had it in a classic weapon category instead of SMGs. Again, it had 32 rounds, but this time it was even worse. They had the HVR, which is also a UMP, but I didn't put that in the post or any of these links. It's terrible. I'm not linking anything when we're talking about. Other than that, in IW, it's literally terrible. It has a really odd reload time. It goes with a foregrip instead. I don't know why it isn't like this, and you can just put on a foregrip. They call it the MACTAV 45, which I guess it's good if you play Modern Warfare, but most people who played Infinite Warfare didn't even know who SOAP was. But other than that, the UMP basically, it was terrible in that game. The iron sights were, for some reason, had a green tint to them, which made it a whole lot worse. I think white or yellow would have been great. And then Modern Warfare 4 comes out. Since Call of Duty World War II, obviously in World War II, BO4, Turk doesn't even like it. And then it just gets the worst it could ever be. In Modern Warfare 4, they basically, it's not even a real UMP-45, they just put it in that role. The Striker 45, which is an LWRC UMP-45, which is a crappier version of it. It's a modern version. It starts with 25 rounds and has slow but heavy hidden fire rate. Why have a gun at all? Why don't you just have a freaking cap gun in there? It does more damage anyways. Luckily, the UMP-45, it has high damage, but it also shoots slow, or decently slow. It's not the slowest shooting SMG. I think that would belong to the AUG. But other than that, it basically had 25 rounds, can only be extended to 45, which is overall a huge decrease. It's terrible. There's a 12 round option, which why would you do that unless you're like actually crazy? But other than that, yeah, so I basically I used to think, hey, maybe this would be good, and then I realized after like 6 seasons, maybe 7, actually 7 seasons of Modern Warfare, SMGs suck. They literally are terrible. All the DLC SMGs always seem to be worse than the base gun game versions. Like the AUG is the only SMG in SMG form, not rifle form, seems to actually be on par with these things. On par with these things, that's the word I was looking for. The UMP sucks, the Vector sucks, the ISO, which is basically just an APC-9, is basically another Vector, it sucks. The Scorpion was going to come to the game, but IW is basically in like limbo until they can make another game. So they're stuck making crappy SMGs with 25 to 20 rounds on base. Why would you do that? Maybe if they made the Scorpion Evo have 32 rounds, that could have been a huge recovery. I found the APC, since it is a small gun, the Vector really should have had 32 to 36 rounds like it did in BO2 to Ghosts. The Striker, which is basically terrible, in this case the UMP, it also has really crappy irons, and since your hand is around the barrel, there's a bolt on this end anyway, so you shoot and it's not even going to look right. I've actually played with the Striker 45 mod on Fallout 4. I tried putting the sight on it. Your hand's right in the way of the red dot, so don't use the exact animations from that game. The game, it's supposed to be good, but it literally sucks. I like how in Modern Warfare 2, you just take out the mag and actually pull the bolt. In this game, you just take out the mag, you use an automatic push. So that's just stupid. I think it's bolt release, that's the bolt button. But other than that, here's the surprise ending. Call of Duty Cold War. They decided to bring the UMP back for some reason, even though the UMP was literally made in 1999, not 1985. So they brought it back as the KSP-45. It's a 3-round burst, which is a unique take on it. It has 30 rounds, which is above 25 but below 32. But you can actually bring it up to 48 rounds back to its highest peak, which I think is amazing. I think I should talk about the Call of Duty Online one. But they have every gun. I don't play that game. I'm not Chinese either. But other than that, the Cold War one, it basically brought the UMP back to how it used to be. It's a 3-round burst. You can basically one-burst people probably across the map since it's a 50 across the board. So basically, it has 50 damage on its own stats, which is amazing. And what you didn't know is, I actually figured this out just by going on custom match and looking through the options. Call of Duty Cold War seemed to actually copy BO4 by having 150 base health, which is really, really odd. I'm like, I think 100 could have been good, but hey, just go off, I guess. And they were supposed to literally fuse with Modern Warfare 4 into Warzone, and that is the stupidest thing that happened. You literally have guns that can like beat LMGs in that game. You got a 3-round burst SMG that has 50 damage on average. I hope they might have done it to 34 or 33 in that game. So in Cold War, the UMP has 30 rounds, reloads kind of quick. The bolts are, for some reason, on the right side, on the front of the barrel. The iron sights are fantastic. I rarely even replace them with reticles, which is actually a great thing to hear, since the UMP usually has kind of iffy iron sights. In Modern Warfare 2, they were decent, but a red dot would have made it a little better. It actually made it a lot better. I remember Modern Warfare 2's red dot was so good. But other than that, Cold War, it basically has the gunsmith system, which basically gave the UMP a second chance, and the Striker, I'm pretty sure it just basically beat it real quick. So it's actually starting to go back upwards, unless the next game is basically retconning and the UMP is going to go back to level. It should have like 22 rounds to be like semi-auto or something. You're going to have like 5 damage. Striker 45 is terrible. The KSP for the win, or it has the KSP. Yeah, KSP 45. That thing is fantastic. In the beta, it was like godly. You just like burst people across the map. You can, when they unlocked all the attachments, I basically just made it like a PDW of some sorts. Just telling you, best gun in the game. Actually, in the beta, I meant. They were like great SMGs, honestly. So, thanks for watching the video. I hope you can subscribe. I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone to do more stuff. Yeah, so I basically made a review, and I'm planning on making 7 more videos. I'm kind of hoping to stick to this format. I finally got out of my comfort zone to actually show my face again. I think I went through something called existencism, but that's a little different.